My brother demanded I give him my baby when she was born because he said he was meant to be a girl dad. You need to give me your baby when she's born, my brother Desmond said, cornering me by the sink and closing his hand around my wrist like I owed him something. For a second, I thought I had heard him wrong, because we were supposed to be celebrating. 10 minutes earlier, my husband Owen and I had announced that we were having a girl. Everyone had been smiling. Everyone had been congratulating us. And now my brother was standing in front of me, looking me in the eye, saying this to my face. "You're out of your mind," I said. "Why would you say that to me?" "I was meant to be a girl dad," he said, leaning in. "I have been dreaming about it since I was a kid. The father-daughter dances, walking her down the aisle one day. All of it. I did not understand what any of that had to do with me. And then he said it. Instead, I got stuck with a disgusting son who ruined my life. He said it the way someone would talk about a car they regretted buying, not his own 14-year-old child. "That is your son, Desmond," I said. But he was not listening. He tightened his grip on my wrist and looked at me with these flat, hungry eyes. "You have a husband. You can try again," he said. "Don't you see, Delia? This is a miracle. I was meant to have your baby girl." I peeled his hand off my wrist. "I am not giving you my daughter just because you hate your son." His jaw tightened, and I could tell he was honestly confused about why I was not already nodding along, agreeing to hand my child over. "You do not even want to be a parent that badly," he said. His voice cracked. "I would cherish every second with her. But you did not even cry when you found out you were pregnant." That was when Owen appeared in the doorway. From the sick look on his face, I could tell he had heard exactly what my brother was demanding. His expression went hard, and he stepped between us. "Get away from my wife." Desmond did not flinch. "Stay out of this. This is a family matter." "You are going to leave," Owen said, his voice low and steady, "and you are never going to speak to her again. Do you understand me?" Desmond looked at him like he was an insect. Then he looked past him, straight at my stomach. A smile spread across his face, slow and certain. "You can say no all you want," he said. "It does not change what is coming." Then he turned and walked out with the confidence of a man who already knew how this was going to end. Owen grabbed my hand before I could follow him. "We need to leave," he said. "Right now." But I shook my head. That is what he wants. He wants to blow everything up and make me look unstable. If we leave now, he wins. Owen looked at me like I was making a mistake, but he did not argue. We walked back into the living room, and I knew right away that Desmond had already told them a twisted version of what had just happened. He was sitting on the couch, curled toward Mom, his face in his hands, shaking like someone had died. Dad was at the window with his arms crossed and his jaw tight, refusing to look at me. And Desmond's son, Ren, was pressed into the corner by the bookshelf, flat against the wall like he was trying to disappear into it. The only sound was my brother's ragged breathing. I was not going to let him control this. "He just asked me to give him my baby," I said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. Those were his exact words. He cornered me at the sink, grabbed my wrist, and told me I needed to hand over my daughter when she is born. I waited for the shock, for the outrage, for someone to turn to Desmond and ask him what was wrong with him. Mom looked up at me. Her face was calm. "We know," she said. "He told us." "Okay," I said slowly. "And we think you should consider it." I laughed, because there was no way I had heard that right. But nobody else was laughing. Dad was still staring out the window. Desmond had gone quiet and was watching me through his fingers. Even Owen had gone still beside me. "I'm sorry," I said. "You think I should consider giving my baby away?" "Not giving her away," Mom said, like I was the one being dramatic. "Just letting Desmond be more involved. Maybe even—" She paused, choosing her words like she was stepping across a frozen pond. "Maybe even letting him take the lead on raising her. You would still see her. You would still be her mother. But Desmond would be her primary parent." "That is insane." "Is it?" Dad finally turned from the window. His voice was calm, but there was an edge underneath it. "You work constantly. You have said yourself that you were not even trying to get pregnant. You did not seem all that excited when you found out." "I was excited. I was in shock. There is a difference." "Desmond has been wanting this his whole life," Mom said. "He has read every parenting book. He has taken classes. He would be home with her every single day while you were at the office." "I am not quitting my job to prove I deserve my own child." "See, that is the problem," Dad said. "It is always about you. What you want. What you are willing to sacrifice. Have you even thought about what is best for the baby?" I felt like I had walked into an alternate universe. These were my parents, the people who raised me, and they were standing in this living room, telling me to hand my daughter to my brother like she was a borrowed coat. "What is best for the baby," I said slowly, "is being raised by her actual mother, not by someone who—" I stopped. I looked at Ren, still frozen in the corner. He was staring at the carpet, but I could see his hands shaking against his thighs. Not by someone who what? Desmond said, sitting up now. The grief was gone from his face. His voice came out sharp. Go ahead, finish that sentence. Not by someone who calls his own son disgusting. The room went dead silent. Ren's head snapped up. His eyes met mine for half a second, and I saw something flash across his face. Surprise. Like he could not believe somebody had said it out loud. That is not, Mom started. He said it to my face. I cut her off. Just now, in the kitchen. He called Ren a disgusting son who ruined his life. Those were his exact words. And you are telling me to give him another child. I looked at Ren again. He was watching Desmond now, waiting to see how he would spin it. I had seen that look before on other people. It is the look of someone who has been lied about so many times that they have stopped expecting anyone to believe them. Desmond, Dad said slowly. Is that true? For a split second, I saw something change in his face. Doubt, maybe even concern. Like for once, he was not sure whose side to take. Desmond saw it too. He pressed the heels of his hands into his eyes, and his shoulders started to heave. I was upset, he said, his voice breaking. You do not understand what it has been like for me. 14 years of doing this alone. 14 years of wishing things were different and watching everyone else get what I wanted. He grabbed Mom's arm. I did not mean it like that. Ren knows I love him. Then he turned toward his son. Tell them, Ren. Tell them I am a good father. Every head in the room turned to Ren. He was 14 years old, and suddenly the entire weight of the room was sitting on his shoulders. I watched his face cycle through it. Fear. Exhaustion. Something that looked like hope dying before it could even finish forming. He is a good father, Ren said quietly. His voice was flat and rehearsed, like he had said the line 1,000 times. And he had. I could hear all 1,000 of them in the way he said it. The way you recite something you stopped believing years ago. The way you say the password that makes the hurting stop. He was not looking at his father when he said it. He was looking at the floor, at a spot a few inches in front of his shoes. And his hands had gone still at his sides, the way an animal goes still when it has decided that holding perfectly motionless is the only way to survive. I wanted to cross the room and put myself between that child and every adult in it. Ren, I said softly. Just his name, trying to catch his eye, trying to tell him without words that he did not have to do this, that I had heard what his father called him, that somebody in this room knew. He almost looked at me. I saw it, the flick of his eyes upward, the half-second of something. And then my mother said, Leave the boy alone, Delea. You are upsetting him. And the moment closed like a door. Mom relaxed. Dad's face smoothed over. That was all it took for the moment of doubt to vanish. See, Desmond said, wiping his face. Ren understands. We have our difficult moments, but we love each other. Something twisted hard in my stomach. You just made him lie for you right in front of all of us. He is not lying. He is telling the truth. He is scared of you. I looked at my parents. Can you not see that he is standing in the corner shaking, and you are acting like everything is fine? Families are complicated, Mom said. You will understand when you are a parent. I understand right now. I understand that you are watching a child get manipulated in real time, and you do not care because it is easier to believe Desmond than to admit something is wrong. Do not talk about my son, Desmond snapped. Somebody has to. I was shaking now. You called him disgusting. You told me he ruined your life, and now you are using him as a prop to prove you are a good person. What kind of father does that? The kind who has been doing it alone for 14 years, Desmond said, getting to his feet. You got everything handed to you. The husband, the career, the baby girl, and what do I get? Nothing. That is enough, Dad said. His voice was cold. Final. Delea, I think you and Owen should leave. Gladly. I grabbed my bag, but I am telling you right now, I am not giving him my daughter. Not now, not ever. Mom stood. If you walk out that door, there will be consequences. What consequences? We have rights as grandparents if we decide that baby is not being properly cared for. Are you threatening us? Owen said. He had been quiet, and his voice was quiet now too, but it was hard, because that is what it sounds like. We are expressing concern, Dad said. Concern? Owen stepped forward. Your son just asked for our baby. Your other grandson made a child lie to protect him, and you are concerned about us? Nobody answered. Desmond was watching me with that same cold smile from the kitchen, like this was all going exactly the way he had planned it. We are done, I said. I looked at Ren one more time. He was watching me with a look I would not be able to forget, like he had been drowning for years and somebody had finally noticed. I'm sorry, I said to him. Then I took Owen's hand, and we walked out the door. I could not even wrap my head around what had just happened. My own mother had looked me in the eye and asked if giving away my baby would really be so bad. My father would not even look at me. and Desmond sat there crying like he was the one being attacked. I defended his son. And somehow, I was the villain. I was done being the reasonable one. Done explaining myself to people who had already made up their minds. Desmond wanted a war. He was about to find out that I do not lose. I thought I was ready for whatever he threw at me. Then I came home from my doctor's appointment and found the front door hanging open. I ran inside and stopped dead. Desmond had Owen pinned against the back of the couch. One forearm was jammed across Owen's chest, and his other hand was fisted in his collar. Owen was twisting underneath him, trying to get leverage and failing. "You can fix everything right now," Desmond was saying, his face inches from Owen's. "Just say yes." I did not think. I grabbed a fistful of my brother's hair and yanked him backward as hard as I could. It was like I had been waiting my whole life to do it. He flew off Owen and hit the floor. For a second, he just lay there gasping. Then he looked up at me. "You witch." He scrambled to his feet and came at me, but Owen was already up, shoving him back. "He owes me!" Desmond screamed, clawing past Owen, trying to get to me. "He owes me a daughter! He made one! He can make me one!" "Get out," I said. "Get out of my house right now." "What? You will call the police?" He laughed, and it came out sharp and wrong. "And tell them what? That your brother came over to talk? That a grieving widower sat too close to your husband? Who do you think they will believe? The pregnant woman who cut off her whole family? Or the poor single father just trying to be part of his niece's life? They will believe the security camera," I said. "Desmond Froza? What? The one in the corner. The one that has been recording since you forced your way in." His face went white. I was bluffing. We did not have a camera, but he did not know that. "You are lying," he said. "Try me." For a long moment, nobody moved. Then something changed behind his eyes. The desperation drained out, and something colder slid in to take its place. "Fine," he said. His voice was too calm now, too even. "You want to play it this way? We can play it this way." He straightened his shirt and smoothed his hair back into place. "But that baby is mine, Delea, and one way or another, I am going to get what I deserve." He walked to the door, then stopped and turned back. "You cannot watch them forever." Then he was gone. Owen sank onto the couch and put his head in his hands. He was shaking. I sat down next to him and laid my hand on his back. The adrenaline was starting to drain out of me, and I could feel my own hands trembling. I had just walked in on my brother holding my husband down. That sentence did not even make sense in my head. It sounded like a line from a crime documentary, not my actual life. "What happened here?" I asked carefully, making sure he knew I was not accusing him of anything. He did not answer right away. He sat there with his face in his hands, breathing hard like he had just sprinted a mile. I rubbed slow circles on his back and waited. I was not going to push him. "He knocked on the door," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. I looked through the window and saw it was him. I was not going to open it, but he kept knocking. He kept saying my name. He said he just wanted to apologize, that he felt terrible about the other night, and wanted to make things right. He took a shaky breath. I opened the door to tell him to leave. That is it, just to tell him to go. But he pushed past me before I could stop him. He started talking about how you do not understand, how hormones make pregnant women irrational, how I seemed like the reasonable one, and maybe I could help him. He looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. He looked so small in that moment. I hated Desmond for making him look like that. I kept telling him to get out. I kept moving toward my phone to call you, but every time I moved, he moved with me, cutting me off, getting closer. His voice cracked, and then he started talking about how I made a girl, how that meant I had something special in me, the right genes, and how it would be such a waste to only use them once. He stopped and stared at the floor. His hands were knotted together so tightly that his knuckles had gone white. He said he had a woman lined up, someone who would carry it. Said all he needed was me to agree, that no one would ever have to know. I felt sick. "I told him no," Owen said. "I told him to get out, and he swallowed hard. He grabbed me, put his arm across my chest, and pushed me down over the couch, and he would not let me up. I am bigger than him. I should have been able to push him off, but he just kept his weight on me and kept saying, 'Yes, yes. You are going to say yes. You owe me.' I could not move. I could not get to my phone. I did not know what to do. He could not look at me. He was staring at the carpet like he was ashamed, like any single part of this was his fault. I pulled him into me and held him as tightly as I could. 'It is not your fault,' I said. 'Do you hear me? None of this is your fault. I should have never opened the door. You could not have known. You could not have known he would do something like this.' But I opened it." His voice broke. "I let him in, and Hey!" I pulled back and took his face in my hands. I made him look at me. His eyes were wet. "You did nothing wrong." He forced his way in. He would not leave. He put his hands on you. That is on him, not you. Do you understand me? He did not say anything. He just looked at me with an expression that made my heart shatter. Owen, I need you to hear me. This is not your fault. I feel like I should have been able to stop him. He caught you off guard. He talked his way in. That is what he does. That is what he has always done. I wiped a tear off his cheek with my thumb. You are not responsible for what he did to you. He buried his face in my shoulder, and I felt him shaking against me. My husband, the steadiest person I had ever known, had been broken down by my own brother. I held him and let him fall apart, because that was all I could do. We sat like that for a long time. I do not know how long. I just held him and let him breathe while I tried to make sense of what had happened. My brother had held my husband down and tried to bully him into helping him make a baby. I kept turning the sentence over, trying to make it fit into reality. Desmond had always been difficult, entitled, dramatic, but this was something else entirely. This was a line I never thought he would cross. And if he would do this, what else would he do? The thought hit me like ice water. I was carrying the baby of his dreams, and he had just proven that he would do anything to get what he wanted. We need to do something, I said quietly. We cannot just let this go. Owen pulled back and wiped his face. You heard him, he said. He already knows what he is going to say. Grieving widower. Crazy pregnant sister. Who are they going to believe? So, what do we do? I thought about my parents, how they had sided with Desmond, how they had threatened me with grandparent rights. If I told them what happened, they would find a way to make it my fault. They would say Owen misunderstood. They would say Desmond was just emotional. They would twist it around until I was the villain again. We were on our own. No family, no support. Just us against whatever my brother was going to do next. I do not know, I admitted, but we have to be ready, because he is not going to stop. Owen nodded slowly. He still looked shaken, but something harder was settling into his face. If he comes back here, I am calling the police. I do not care what he says. I do not care who believes what. He is not setting foot in this house again. Agreed. We sat with that for a moment. Then Owen said the thing we were both thinking. He still has a key. I looked at him. From when we moved in, when he helped us carry boxes, we never asked for it back. We changed the locks. The next morning, a locksmith came out and rekeyed every door in the house, while Owen stood in the driveway watching the street like he expected my brother to materialize out of the hedges. I told myself it was enough. A new lock, a new key, a line my brother could not cross. I did not know yet that a lock only works on a man who is afraid of getting caught. And my brother had stopped being afraid of anything. I made a list that night, sitting at the kitchen table while Owen finally slept. Things we needed to do. A deadbolt for the nursery door. A bag packed by the door in case we had to leave fast. The hospital's number. Priya's number once we found her. I wrote until my hand cramped. And the whole time, some small voice in the back of my head kept saying the same thing Ren had said. He is not going to stop. He is never going to stop. We sat there in the quiet, holding hands, trying to understand how everything had gone so wrong so fast. I kept thinking about the look on Desmond's face when he left. That cold certainty, like he already knew how this was going to end. My brother had held my husband down to try to make himself a daughter. I did not know how to process that. I was not sure I ever would. We just held each other and tried to breathe. An hour later, the doorbell rang again. Owen went stiff beside me. If that is him, I'll check. I looked through the peephole. It was not Desmond. It was Ren. I opened the door, and he was standing there hugging himself, shaking so hard his teeth were chattering. His eyes were red and swollen, and there was a bruise blooming across his left cheekbone, dark purple against his skin. Ren, what happened? He tried to speak, and all that came out was a small, broken sound. Come inside, I said, pulling him in. You are safe now. Come inside. Owen wiped his face fast and went to get him water while I sat him down on the couch. Ren could not stop shaking. Every few seconds, he flinched like he was bracing for a blow that was not coming. Take your time, Owen said softly, handing him the glass. His own hands were still trembling from what had happened to him, but he pushed it down. You are okay now. Ren took a shaky breath. He came home angry. I heard the car. The way he slammed the door, I went up to my room, but he came and found me. What did he do? Ren's eyes went distant. He was already yelling before he got up the stairs, saying it was my fault, that everything wrong in his life is because of me. He sniffled hard. He grabbed my hair and dragged me into the hallway. I tried to cover my face, but he just kept hitting me. He touched the bruise and winced. He said if I had just been a girl, none of this would be happening. He said he has spent 14 years looking at me and feeling sick. He said my mom would still be alive if I had not disappointed her so badly that she stopped wanting to be here. Ren. He kicked me. His voice went flat. Numb. When I was on the floor, he kicked me in the stomach and called me worthless. Then he grabbed my arm and threw me out the front door, and told me if he ever saw my face again, he would make me regret it. He looked up at me with hollow eyes. I did not know where else to go. I pulled him into a hug. He was so thin, so small. "You are staying here," I said, "with us. You are not going back to him. He will come looking for me. Let him come." Owen sat down on the other side of Ren and put a hand on his shoulder. Ren flinched, then relaxed. "You are safe," Owen said. "He is not going to hurt you again." Ren looked between us. I could tell he was confused, hopeful, terrified that none of it was real. Then he started to cry. Not loud, just these quiet, worn-out tears that had been held back for too long. I held him and let him cry. This whole day had been a nightmare. I had walked into my own house and found my brother holding my husband down. He had looked me dead in the face and told me Owen owed him a child. Then he had gone home and beaten his 14-year-old son until the kid ran away. And somehow, my parents still thought I was the problem. I did not even have words for it. What kind of person does these things? I was not just protecting my baby anymore. I was protecting Ren too. Wait until you hear what Ren told me. Desmond had just lost the only person he had left, and he did not even know it yet. Ren told me everything that night. After he stopped crying, after Owen made him something to eat, after the shaking finally settled, he started talking. And once he started, he could not stop. "You know, he only named me Ren so he could pretend I was a girl," he said quietly. We were sitting on the couch together. Owen was in the chair across from us. I looked at him. "What do you mean?" "When my mom was pregnant with me, he was so sure I was going to be a girl. He had the nursery done. Pink walls. Little flowers painted on the whole thing." Ren pulled his knees up to his chest. "And then I came out wrong." "You did not come out wrong," Owen said. "You came out a boy. There is nothing wrong with that. Try telling him that." Ren almost smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. He kept the name anyway. Told everyone it was a unisex name. But I know the real reason. So he could call me by a girl's name and pretend, at least a little, that he got what he wanted. I reached over and put my hand on his arm. "How long have you known this?" "Forever." He never let me forget it. Ren's voice was flat. "It is why he used to keep my hair long." I remembered that. Everyone used to tell Desmond to let the boy get a haircut, that Ren would be more comfortable, that the other kids were starting to talk. But Desmond always refused, always had the same excuse. "Every time it got short enough that I looked like a boy, he would sit me down and fix it," Ren continued. "Curl it, pin it back with these little clips. He said it was easier to manage that way." "I remember the clips," I said softly. "Yeah." Ren looked down at his hands. He did not want me to look like a boy. Owen leaned forward. "How long did that go on?" Ren touched his hair. It was short now, uneven, like he had hacked at it himself. "Until I was 11. That is when I started fighting back. Really fighting, yelling, locking myself in the bathroom. He could not hold me still anymore, so he stopped. I took a pair of scissors and cut it all off myself one night." He let out a bitter little laugh. "This is the shortest it has ever been. 14 years old, and I am finally allowed to look like myself. Lucky me." The sarcasm was sharp, but I could hear the pain underneath it. "And no one helped?" "No matter what. A teacher saw the bruises once. He always had an excuse. I fell, I was roughhousing, I was a difficult kid. And everyone believed him because he is so good at being the one people feel sorry for." He looked at me. "You saw it tonight. The way he turned the whole room around on you." "I saw it," I said, nodding. "I just did not understand how deep it went. I thought about all the family gatherings over the years. All the times I had seen Ren sitting quietly in a corner. All the times I had noticed something seemed off and told myself it was not my business. I should have said something. I should have done something." "It goes all the way down," Ren said, picking at a loose thread on the cushion. He only let me wear what he picked out. Soft colors, sweaters with little patterns, nothing with trucks or teams or anything boys my age were into. When I started middle school, the teachers started asking questions, so he let me wear regular clothes to school. But at home, it was right back to the same thing. Owen shook his head. "And let me guess. He used that grieving widower raising a difficult son all by himself line he loved so much whenever the questions got heavy?" Ren laughed, bitter. "Yeah. Everyone constantly feels bad for him. That is his whole thing. He makes people feel sorry for him, and then he gets whatever he wants." He stopped suddenly and looked down at his hands. "I should not be telling you all this. He is still my dad. I know that sounds stupid, but..." "It does not sound stupid," I said. "He is your dad. Of course you have complicated feelings. But Ren, what he has done to you is not okay. None of it is okay." Ren was quiet for a moment. "Do you actually believe me?" The question was so small, so fragile, like he was already bracing for me to say no. "Of course I believe you, because nobody ever does. I have tried telling people before, and they always..." I believe you, I said again, firmer this time. Every word. Owen moved from the chair to sit on Ren's other side. The boy flinched, but he did not pull away. I believe you too, Owen said quietly. And I know what he is capable of. He hurt me today. What he did to me. He paused, his jaw tightening. You are not alone in this. Not anymore. Ren looked at him with something like recognition. Like he had finally found someone who understood. He used to tell me things when I was little, Ren said, his voice steadier now. Things I believed because he was my dad and I did not know any better. Like what? Owen asked. Ren was quiet for a long moment. He opened his mouth and closed it, then tried again. That I was supposed to be a girl. That I ruined his life by being born wrong. He convinced me that my mom died because she was so disappointed in me. That she got sick because of the stress of having a son she never wanted. Ren. I grabbed his hand. That is not true. None of that is true. I know that now. He squeezed my hand back. But when you are 6 years old and your dad tells you your mom got sick and died because of you, you believe it. You believe it for a long time. His voice cracked on the last word, and he had to stop. He pressed the heels of his hands against his eyes and took a shaky breath. Take your time, I said softly. You do not have to tell us everything tonight. No, I want to. I need to. He dropped his hands and looked at me with wet eyes. I have been holding this in for so long. I just need someone to finally know. The room went quiet. Owen reached over and laid a hand on Ren's shoulder. Ren looked surprised, but he did not pull away. You can let it all out, Owen said gently. Cry, yell, talk as long as you want. We are here. For once, somebody meant it. So Ren kept going. There was this one time when I was 9. I had saved up my allowance and bought a baseball cap from a thrift store. Blue, with a team logo on it. I hid it in the back of my closet and only wore it when he was not home. He paused. He found it, dragged me into the living room, made me watch while he cut it apart with scissors. He said if he ever caught me with boy stuff again, he would make sure I regretted it. Ren's hands curled into fists. I was 9. What kind of person does that to a 9-year-old over a hat? I could end him, I said. The words came out before I could stop them. I am sorry. I know he is your dad, but I could actually end him for doing that to you. Ren stared at me. I do not think anyone had ever been angry on his behalf before. Owen kept his hand on the boy's shoulder. And when I was 10, I cut my own hair short for the first time, just in the bathroom with kitchen scissors. Ren's voice was shaking now, but it was not sadness anymore. It was anger. He locked me outside in November, all night. I was in my pajamas, and I thought I was going to freeze to death. And in the morning, he opened the door and acted like nothing had happened, like I had deserved it. Ren wrapped his arms around himself, the same way he had been doing at the front door an hour earlier, like the cold had never fully left him. There is more. There is so much more. When I was 7, he signed me up for a dance class, ballet. There was a recital at the end of the year, and he bought me a costume. This stiff little thing with a skirt, and he made me wear it on stage in front of everyone. I did not want to be up there. I froze. I just stood in the middle of the floor while the other kids danced around me, and he was in the front row filming, smiling like nothing was wrong. His hands were shaking. When we got home, he did not say anything. He just put me in my room and turned off the light and left me there. I could hear him in the living room watching the video over and over, and every time he watched it, he called out a different thing I had done wrong. You looked stiff. You looked sullen. You embarrassed me. You always embarrass me. I did not say anything. I could not. I just kept my hand on his arm and let him get it out. And the photos, he said. There are albums, whole albums. Every birthday, every holiday, he would make me sit for pictures in whatever he had picked out. And if I did not smile right, we would do it again and again until I got it right. There are hundreds of pictures of me looking like a kid. I was not smiling because I was happy. I was smiling because I had figured out that smiling was the only way the camera would finally stop. He swallowed. He has them framed in the hallway. He shows them to guests. This is my pride and joy, he says, and everyone tells him what a beautiful family he has. Ren laughed, and there was nothing in it. A beautiful family. That is what they see. He went quiet for a second, then kept going. He took my friends too. When I was little, I had a best friend down the street. We used to ride bikes, build forts, normal kid stuff. Desmond decided he was a bad influence. Too rough. Too loud. The wrong kind of kid for me to be around. He told the boys' parents I had behavioral problems and that they should keep their son away from me for their own good. He made up a whole story. I did not have a single real friend after that until middle school. And by then, I had learned not to get close to anyone, because anyone I cared about, he found a way to take. His voice dropped lower. That is how it works. He does not just hurt you. He cuts away everything around you until you are alone, until he is the only one left. And then he tells you that he is the only one who will ever love you. And after a while, you start to believe it, because there is no one else there to tell you it is a lie. He looked at me with those hollow eyes. That is the part nobody understands. The bruises heal. It is the other thing that does not. The being alone. I pulled him into me before he could finish, and I felt him go rigid. Then slowly, he let go. He stood up suddenly and started to pace. 14 years, he said. 14 years of this. And everyone just looked the other way. Teachers, Grandma and Grandpa, everyone. He was shaking with rage now. I spent my whole life thinking I just had to survive until I was old enough to leave. But you know what? I am done being quiet. He has always been the problem, and everyone just let him get away with it. I wiped my eyes. I had not even realized I was crying. I stood up and pulled him into a hug. He resisted for a second, still vibrating with anger, then collapsed into me. We stood there for a long moment. I could feel him shaking against me. All that rage slowly draining out until there was nothing left but exhaustion. You are not going to send me back, are you? His voice was muffled against my shoulder. Small. Scared. Never. Promise? I promise. You are staying here with us for as long as you want. He held on tighter. There is something else, Ren said into my shoulder. Something you need to know about your baby. I pulled back. What about her? When you announced you were having a girl? He went quiet. You probably noticed. Everyone else was celebrating, but he just sat there staring at you. I nodded. I remembered. That night he came into my room. He was not angry. That was the scary part. He was always angry, but that night he was calm, almost happy. Ren's jaw tightened. He said, "That is my second chance. That baby is going to fix everything." What does that mean? Owen straightened up at that. He has been planning this for months, Ren said. He has a nursery set up in the spare room. Pink walls, a crib, little dresses, toys, everything. Ren looked between us. He already picked out a name. He talks about her like she is already his. I felt cold all over. He is not going to stop, Ren said. He is never going to stop. He has been waiting his whole life for a girl, and now he thinks he is finally going to get one. He does not care what he has to do. I thought about Desmond holding Owen down. I thought about the bruise on Ren's face. The years of cruelty. The pink nursery waiting in that spare room. He is not getting her, I said. And he is not getting you either. Ren looked at me. His eyes were red and swollen. He looked exhausted, wrung out like he had run a marathon. He always wins, he said. Not this time. I shook my head. Ren did not say anything. He just leaned into me and closed his eyes. Owen came over and wrapped his arms around both of us. We stood there in the quiet, the three of us holding each other up. For the first time in his life, Ren was not alone. And neither were we. That night, Ren slept in our guest room with the door cracked open because he said he could not sleep in the dark anymore. I sat on the edge of our bed next to Owen, trying to figure out how we were going to keep both of them safe from my brother. The baby was coming any day now. I thought the worst of it was behind us. I was wrong. The worst of it had not even started. The papers came 3 days later. A man in a gray shirt knocked on the door around noon, asked if I was Delia, and put an envelope in my hand before I even finished saying yes. I stood in the doorway and read it twice before the words made sense. My brother had filed for emergency custody of Ren and grandparent visitation rights over my unborn daughter, all in the same filing. He claimed Ren had been unlawfully taken from his home by a relative with a history of instability. He claimed I had a pattern of harassing his family and had threatened to interfere with the upbringing of his child. He claimed my pregnancy was high risk because of my, and I am quoting the document here, refusal to accept family support. My parents had signed sworn statements backing every word of it. My own mother had written that she was deeply concerned for the safety of both children given my, again quoting, escalating behavior and isolation from the family. I read it standing there in the doorway with one hand on my stomach, and I started laughing. Because if I did not laugh, I was going to scream. What is it? Owen said, coming up behind me. I handed him the papers. I watched his face change as he read. They are trying to take Ren back, he said slowly. And they are setting up to take her too. They are building a story, I said. Unstable pregnant woman kidnaps a child, cuts off her family. By the time she is born, they will have a folder of documents proving I am dangerous. Owen looked at me. We need a lawyer. We got one that afternoon. Her name was Priya, and she did not waste a single word. She read the filing, set it down, and said the same thing I had been thinking. This is not really about custody. This is about creating a record. Someone wants a paper trail that paints you a certain way before something happens. She looked at me over her glasses. Has anything happened? Anything that would make you think your brother is planning to do something physical? I told her about the kitchen, the living room. The day I came home and found him holding Owen down. She wrote it all down. Then she asked Ren if he was willing to talk to a social worker about what his father had done to him. And Ren, who had been sitting silent in the corner of her office the whole time, looked up and said, "I have been waiting 14 years for someone to ask me that." Priya filed for an emergency protective order that same week. She filed a report with Child Protective Services about Ren, and she made it very clear to the court that the boy did not want to go back, and that there were bruises photographed and dated to explain why. I thought that would be the end of it. I thought once the system knew, the system would do something. But the system moved slow, and Desmond did not. The texts started 2 days after the papers. At first, they were almost reasonable. "Delea, this is between us. Do not drag lawyers into it." Then they got worse. "You are stealing my son and my daughter, and you will answer for it." Then they stopped being words at all and started being pictures. A photo of the front of my house taken from across the street. A photo of Owen leaving for work. A photo of Ren at the bus stop with no message attached. Just the picture, so I would understand that my brother knew exactly where the boy went every morning. I called Priya. She told me to save everything, screenshot everything, call the police every single time, even if they did nothing, because the record mattered. So that is what we did. We documented a man circling our house like a shark, while everyone with the power to stop him filled out forms. Ren confirmed the rest. "The nursery is real," he told me one night when I asked him if he had ever actually seen it. "I have been in it. He keeps the door locked, but I found the key once. Pink walls. A crib. A whole dresser full of little dresses with the tags still on. Size newborn to 2 years. He has been buying them for months." His voice went quiet. "There is a name on the wall. Wooden letters painted white. They spell out a girl's name. It is not the name you gave her. It is the name he picked." I asked him what it was. He told me, "I am not going to repeat it here, because it was the name my brother had been whispering to himself in a locked room for months while he waited for a baby that did not belong to him." That was the night I stopped sleeping properly. Every creak of the house, every car that slowed on the street, every shadow that moved past the window. I was up, padding down the hall to the nursery door, checking the crib that was not even occupied yet. Owen started sleeping on the couch by the front door. Ren started keeping a baseball bat under his bed. The one boy thing his father had never managed to take from him, because Owen had bought it for him the second week he lived with us, and Desmond did not know it existed. A week before my due date, my parents came to the house. I made the mistake of opening the door. They did not ask about the baby. They did not ask how I was feeling. My mother walked into my living room, looked at Ren sitting on my couch and said, "There he is. Do you know how worried his father has been?" Like I had abducted him. Like the bruise, still faintly yellow on his cheek, did not exist. "He came here on his own," I said, "with a handprint on his face that your son put there. He is a teenager, Delea. They exaggerate. They get dramatic. You of all people should know how this family tells stories." My father stood by the door with his arms crossed the way he always did, ready to back her up without saying a word. I looked at the two of them, the people who raised me, and I realized something that should have broken my heart, but instead just made me very, very calm. They were never going to choose the children. They were always going to choose the version of the story that let them keep believing they had done nothing wrong. "Get out of my house," I said, "and the next time you want to see me, it will be in a courtroom." My mother's face went hard. "You are making a terrible mistake." "No," I said, holding the door open. "For the first time in my life, I am not." They left. I watched my father help my mother down the front steps. And I watched a gray sedan parked 3 houses down, pull away from the curb and follow them around the corner. I knew exactly who had been sitting in it the whole time. I was not the reasonable one anymore. I was not the one who explained herself and waited for the system to catch up. I had a lawyer, a protective order, a folder full of screenshots, and a 14-year-old who finally had someone in his corner. My brother thought he had been planning this for months. He had no idea I had been planning too. But I was still angry. Angry for Ren. Angry for Owen. Angry for myself. Let me tell you what happened just days after I gave birth. You are not going to believe this. Finally, my baby girl was born. She was healthy and perfect. I held her in my arms, and for a moment, I forgot about all of it. I just looked at my daughter and felt something I had never felt before. Like I would do anything to protect her. Anything. We named her Nora after no one. Just a name that was ours and not part of any of this. The first time Ren held her in the chair by the hospital window, with Owen hovering close in case his arms got tired, he started to cry. And when I asked him if he was okay, he said, "She is so small. How could anyone look at something this small and decide they were owed it?" I did not have an answer for that. None of us did. Even in the hospital, I was afraid. Every time the door opened, I expected my brother. I asked the nurses to flag my room, to not give out any information to anyone, family included. And the look the head nurse gave me told me she had seen this before. The new mother, who was more frightened of her own relatives than glad to see them. She wrote, "Do not disclose" on my chart in red, squeezed my hand, and told me they would watch the floor. They did. He never showed at the hospital. I should have known that meant he was waiting for somewhere with no nurses, no flag charts, no one watching the door. We came home from the hospital 2 days later. Ren was still staying with us. He helped with the baby while Owen and I tried to figure out how to function on no sleep. Those first days were a blur of feedings and diaper changes and exhaustion so deep it felt like drowning. And on top of all of it, I was on guard every second. I kept waiting for Desmond to show up, to call, to do something. But there was nothing. No word from him. No word from my parents. Just silence. Part of me wanted to believe it was over, that he had finally given up. But Ren's words kept echoing in my head. He is not going to stop. He is never going to stop. He has been waiting his whole life for a girl. By the 5th night home, I was so tired I could barely see straight. Owen was the same. Even Ren looked exhausted from helping us around the clock. That night, we all went to bed early. My daughter was in the nursery down the hall. I had the monitor on my nightstand, the volume turned all the way up. I remember thinking I should stay awake. I should keep watch. But my body would not cooperate. I was asleep before my head finished hitting the pillow. I do not know how long I was out before Ren was shaking me awake. "Delea," he whispered. His voice was urgent, scared. "Delea, wake up." I opened my eyes, and the room was dark. Ren was standing over me, his face pale. "What is wrong?" I asked, still half asleep. "I heard something. A door. I think someone is in the house." Owen was already sitting up beside me. "What?" "I heard the front door," Ren said. "I am sure of it." We all went still, listening. And then we heard it. The baby crying. Then stopping. The cry cut off so suddenly that my whole body went cold. Then footsteps moving fast across the hardwood. Then the front door closing. I was out of bed before I knew I was moving. I ran down the hall to the nursery and threw the door open. The crib was empty. The little fitted sheet was still warm. The window was open. The curtain was breathing in and out with the night air. And the monitor that was supposed to be on the dresser was lying face down on the floor, where someone had knocked it as they reached into the crib. My daughter was gone. For a second, I could not breathe. I could not think. I just stood there staring at the empty space where my baby was supposed to be. At the dent her small body had left in the mattress. At the curtain moving like nothing had happened. This was not happening. This could not be happening. My mind kept trying to rewrite it, kept telling me she was in our room. She was with Owen. She was anywhere but gone. And the empty crib kept telling me the truth. Then Owen was rushing past me, running for the front door. "Call 911, he shouted over his shoulder. I tried to follow, but my body would not cooperate. I had given birth 5 days ago. Everything still hurt. I was slow and clumsy. And by the time I made it to the hallway, Ren was there grabbing my arm, helping me move. "Give me your phone," I said. He pressed it into my hand, and I dialed as we moved toward the door. 911? What is your emergency? My brother took my baby. My voice was shaking so badly, I could barely get the words out. He broke into my house and took my baby. He is in front of my house right now. Please hurry. I gave them the address and hung up. We made it outside, and I saw them. Desmond was halfway down the driveway, my daughter in his arms. He was moving fast, almost running, clutching her against his chest, and he was talking to her. I could hear her crying and his voice carrying in the night air. "It is okay, sweetheart. Daddy is here. Daddy has got you now. Everything is going to be okay. We are going home." Something inside me snapped. That was my daughter. He was calling himself her father. Owen reached him first. He grabbed my brother's arm and spun him around. "Give me my daughter." Desmond's face was wild. His eyes were huge and darting everywhere. He looked like he had not slept in days. "She is not yours," he said. "She was never yours. She is mine. She has always been mine. Give her to me right now." "No." He pulled away from Owen, clutching the baby tighter. She started screaming, this high, thin wail that cut straight through the night. "You do not understand," Desmond said. "None of you understand. I have been waiting my whole life for her. She is my second chance. She is going to fix everything." Owen grabbed his arm again, harder this time. "Let go of my daughter. She is not your daughter." Desmond tried to twist away, but Owen held on. They were struggling now, both of them pulling, the baby screaming between them, both of them trying so hard to be careful not to hurt her. I finally reached them. Ren was right behind me, still holding my arm, keeping me upright. Every step hurt, but I did not care. I would have crawled if I had to. "Desmond, stop!" I screamed. "Give her back!" Desmond looked at me, and something in his face shifted. The desperation curdled into pure hatred. You, he spat. You do not deserve her. You never wanted her. You cannot take care of her the way I can. I have been preparing for her. I have a nursery. I have a name. I have everything ready. And you think you can just keep her from me? I will not let you. She is my daughter. She is my second chance. He was screaming now, spit flying from his mouth. Do you know what it has been like? 14 years of looking at him? He jerked his head toward Ren, being reminded every single day of what I did not get. 14 years of watching everyone else have what I deserved. And then you, my own sister, you get pregnant by accident, and it is a girl, and you do not even appreciate it. I lunged for her. I did not think about it. I just moved. I grabbed at the baby, trying to pull her out of his arms. He held on tight, yanking her back. And for one horrible moment, we were both pulling on her, my daughter screaming between us. Then I felt it. The give of her tiny body caught between two people who were not letting go. And the terror that hit me was worse than anything I had felt all night. I could hurt her. We could both hurt her right here, fighting over her like she was a thing and not a person. I let go. I made myself let go. My hands were shaking, because I would rather lose this fight for one more second than feel her come apart between us. Let go! Desmond shrieked at me, even though I already had. She is mine. Up and down the street, porch lights were snapping on. A dog was barking somewhere. I saw a curtain move in the house across the road. A face appeared at the glass. And some distant part of my mind thought, good, see this. All of you see exactly what he is. For 14 years, no one had seen. Tonight, the whole street was going to. Ren jumped in. He grabbed Desmond's arm and tried to pry it off the baby. Let her go. This is crazy. Just let her go. Desmond's head snapped toward Ren, and his face twisted into something ugly. He let go of me with one hand and slapped Ren across the face hard. The sound cracked through the air. You, Desmond hissed. This is all your fault. If you had just been what I needed, if you had just been a girl, 14 years of disappointment, 14 years of looking at you and feeling sick, and now you are trying to take this from me too. Ren did not back down. He grabbed Desmond's arm again, harder. I am not letting you do this. Get off me! Desmond tried to shake him loose, but Ren held on. And in that moment of distraction, Owen moved. He wrapped both arms around the baby and pulled. Desmond screamed as she was ripped from his grip. Owen stumbled backward, clutching our daughter against his chest. And then he was pressing her into my arms. I was holding my baby. I was holding her. She was safe. She was here. She was mine. Desmond lunged for us, but Owen stepped in front of him, blocking his path. He tried to get around him, clawing at the air, screaming things that did not make sense anymore. She is mine. You cannot do this. She is supposed to fix everything. Give her back. Sirens in the distance. Getting closer. Desmond heard them too. For a second, something like panic flashed across his face. Then it was gone, replaced by that cold certainty I had seen before. This is not over, he said. I will get her back. I will find a way. You cannot watch her forever. You cannot. The police cars pulled up, lights flashing red and blue across the front yard. Two officers stepped out and started toward us. Desmond saw them first. He straightened up, wiped his face. And something shifted in his expression. The wildness drained away, and suddenly he looked like a frightened, worried father. Officers, thank God you are here. He pointed at me. That is her. She broke into my house, and she is trying to take my baby. I was shocked and offended all at once. What? She has been threatening me for months, Desmond went on, his voice trembling with fake tears. She is obsessed with my daughter. She thinks the baby belongs to her. I do not know what is wrong with her, but please help me get my child back. The officers looked at him, then at me. Alder often sighed. I was standing there in my pajamas, hair a mess, still bleeding from giving birth 5 days ago, holding a screaming newborn. That is not true, I said. He is lying. This is my baby. He broke into my house. She is unwell, Desmond said. Ask anyone. She has been stalking me. She has been harassing me. My whole family will tell you. The worst part was knowing our parents would somehow find a way to back him up. One of the officers held up a hand. Okay. Everyone calm down. Then he looked at Desmond. Sir, you are saying this is your child? Yes. Her name is Lily. She is 5 days old. My blood ran cold. He knew exactly how old she was. He had been watching us. Her name is not Lily, I said. Her name is Nora, and I gave birth to her. You can check the records. She is lying, Desmond screamed, the mask slipping for just a second. Why would I lie about my own daughter? The officer looked between us. Do either of you have identification? I do, Owen said, stepping forward. I am her father. I have my ID, And I have photos from the hospital. My wife gave birth 5 days ago. This man," he pointed at Desmond, "is her brother. He has been harassing us for months, trying to take our baby." "That is not true." Desmond was crying now. Real tears or fake ones. I could not tell anymore. "He is not the father. He is lying. They are all lying." The other officer was looking at Ren, at the red handprint rising on his cheek. "What happened to you?" Ren's voice was steady. "He hit me just now when I tried to stop him from taking the baby." "He is my son," Desmond said quickly. "He is troubled. He makes things up. He has been in therapy for years. Ask anyone." "I am not making anything up." Ren's voice cut through the night. He broke into their house with a key he has had since before they changed the locks. He went into the nursery and took the baby out of her crib. I heard him. I woke them up. And when I tried to stop him, he hit me, just like he has been hitting me my whole life. "Ren, stop it," Desmond hissed. "Tell them the truth." "I am telling them the truth. For the first time in 14 years, I am telling the truth." The officers exchanged a look. One of them stepped a few feet away and spoke into his radio, confirming the address, reading off my name and Desmond's, asking dispatch to check for any prior reports. We stood there in the cold while the radio crackled. The baby finally quieted against my chest. Desmond was breathing hard through his nose. I watched the officer's face change as dispatch read something back to him. He turned and looked at Desmond differently than he had a minute before. "Sir," he said, "are you aware there is an active protective order against you?" He glanced at his notes, filed by Delia 2 weeks ago. The blood drained out of my brother's face. "That is a misunderstanding. It says here there is also an open child protective services case concerning a minor, your son." The officer looked at Ren, at the fresh red mark on his cheek, at the older yellow bruise underneath it that had not finished healing. "That you, sir?" "He is making it up," Desmond said, but his voice had lost its footing. "He is troubled, I told you." "I have his name and his date of birth right here," the officer said quietly. "And I have a report from a social worker dated 9 days ago. So, I am going to ask you one more time to step away from the baby, and I would think very carefully about the next thing you say." For the first time all night, Desmond had no story ready. I watched him reach for one and come up empty. His mouth opened and closed. And I realized I was looking at something I had never seen in my entire life. My brother, with nothing to say. Then the other officer turned to Desmond. "Sir, I am going to need you to step away from the situation." "No, you do not understand. She is mine." "Sir, I have been waiting my whole life for her. Do you know what it is like to want something so badly and watch everyone else get it? She does not even want her. She did not even cry when she found out she was pregnant. But I would be a good father. I would be the best father. She is supposed to fix everything." He lunged toward me, and the officers grabbed him. He fought. He kicked and clawed and screamed, calling me every name he could think of, telling the officers they were making a mistake, that the baby belonged to him, that he had been waiting his whole life for her, that I had stolen her, that everyone was lying, that Ren was a troubled boy who made up stories. They had to wrench his arms behind his back. They had to put him in handcuffs. He was still screaming when they put him in the back of the patrol car, still screaming as they shut the door. I watched the car pull away, lights still turning, my daughter pressed against my chest, and I felt her breathing. It was over. Desmond was charged with breaking and entering, attempted kidnapping, and assault. The prosecutor added child abuse charges after Ren testified about everything he had been through. My parents tried to defend him at first. They tried to say he was confused, that he needed help, not prison. But when Ren took the stand and told the court about the clips in his hair, the blue baseball cap cut to pieces, the night he spent locked outside in November, and every other thing Desmond had done to him for 14 years, they went quiet. They did not testify on Desmond's behalf. They did not testify at all. Desmond was sentenced to 20 years.